With a roar that shook worlds, humanity's secret warp slipstream drive dreadnoughts reverted to normal space over Earth, guns at the ready. As the capital ship's defense screens deflected the Norcadian flagship's surprised salvo, Norcadian Supervisor Xander spilled his drink. He grabbed the railing of his bridge window, still damp with sprayed hot tea, and surveyed the human fleet that had appeared from nowhere, now standing firm between the Norcadian warships and their blue jewel of a homeworld. There were hundreds of secret human warp slipstream ships, popping from wormholes like sprouts bursting from seeds. Xander had seen his fleets burn species, crush nations, crack planets, but never before had he faced an opponent that seemed as ready for war as his species, and never had numbers favored the prey, always the Norcadian. Never had Xander been so sure those numbers were about to change. How could the humans have broken the code of biological sentience? How could these hairless chimps have achieved starflight before the Norcadian vanguard arrived to subjugate them? "Advisor Zor-El," Xander said to his protégé standing at his side, "remind me, how many millennia has it been since the Empire last lost a war?" 6,000 years of galactic supremacy, Zor-El said, her voice stricken with disbelief. "Our victory over the Yulai Moremouths, that was the last time a species even dented our warships before breaking to the yoke." "We thought the humans had only taken their first steps beyond the atmosphere," Xander said. "That blue planet was supposed to be just another notch on the Empire's belt." "What do you propose, Supervisor?" "Open a channel to their lead dreadnought, whatever it is," Xander snapped. "Pray they come to terms before the shooting really starts." Xander hailed the human flagship, his voice firm but tinged with a hint of apprehension. "This is Supervisor Xander of the Norcadian Empire. Our Admiral Zaktar has transmitted a message on all frequencies demanding your unconditional surrender. Failure to comply will result in the annihilation of your world." The comms stayed silent. Not even static crackled through the speakers. Zor-El frowned. "Are they ignoring us, Supervisor? Perhaps they didn't receive the transmission." Xander shook his head. "No, they heard us. Admiral Zaktar used every available channel. The humans should be cowering in fear, begging for mercy. They're primitives. They shouldn't have the technology to resist us." "Then why the silence?" "I don't know, but it's unsettling. Admiral Zaktar is not a patient man. He's moving the fleet closer to their planet, a show of force to intimidate them into submission." As the Norcadian warships approached Earth's solitary moon, Xander's eyes widened in disbelief. A massive human fleet emerged from behind the lunar surface, revealing thousands of sleek, angular vessels, unlike any the Norcadians had encountered. Zor-El gasped. "Where did they come from? Our scans showed no signs of such a fleet." "Advanced stealth technology," Xander whispered, his voice a mix of awe and dread. "They were hiding, masking their presence. We underestimated them, Zor-El, badly." The bridge fell silent as the implications sank in. The humans had not only concealed their true technological prowess, but had also built a fleet that matched the Norcadians in size and apparent sophistication. Xander gripped the railing tighter, his knuckles pale. "This changes everything. We thought they would be just another conquered species, another world to add to the Empire. But now—" He trailed off, watching the human ships. Zor-El's eyes widened as she turned to face Xander. "But how could the humans have hidden such a vast fleet and advanced technology from our sensors? We should have detected their ships and bases long before we arrived in their system." Xander sighed, shaking his head. "It seems we underestimated their ingenuity and resourcefulness. Not only did they develop stealth technology that rendered their ships invisible to our scans, but they also constructed a network of hidden bases and shipyards throughout their solar system. They used the natural features of their celestial bodies to their advantage, concealing their facilities within asteroids, beneath the surface of their neighboring planets, and even on the far side of their moons. We were so focused on Earth itself that we failed to notice the signs of a highly advanced civilization thriving right under our noses," Xander continued, his voice tinged with a mix of admiration and regret. While we were preparing to subjugate what we believed to be a primitive species, they were quietly building a force capable of challenging the might of the Norcadian Empire. Zor-El leaned forward, her brow furrowed with concern. What happened next? How did Admiral Zakhtar respond to this unexpected development? Xander's expression grew somber as he recounted the events that followed. Admiral Zakhtar attempted to negotiate with the humans, hoping to salvage the situation and avoid a full-scale confrontation. He offered them a chance to surrender peacefully, promising to spare their world if they agreed to submit to Norcadian rule, but the human commander, Admiral Justin Ramos, was unwilling to compromise. He demanded that our fleet withdraw immediately or face the consequences of their defiance. "And what were those consequences?" Zor-El asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Admiral Ramos revealed that the human fleet was equipped with weapons technology far beyond anything we possessed, Xander said, his voice heavy with the weight of the revelation. They had developed advanced energy weapons, gravitational manipulators, and even something they called a singularity cannon. I had never heard of such a device before, but the way Admiral Ramos spoke of it sent a chill down my spine. Zor-El gasped, her eyes wide with disbelief. A singularity cannon? That sounds like something out of a science fiction novel. Surely they were bluffing, trying to intimidate us with empty threats. Xander shook his head grimly. No, Zor-El, they were not bluffing. To demonstrate the power of their weapons, a single human ship targeted one of our battleships. With a single shot from their singularity cannon, they effortlessly destroyed the vessel, leaving nothing but a rapidly dissipating cloud of subatomic particles in its wake. It was a display of firepower, unlike anything I had ever witnessed in all my years serving the Empire. Zor-El leaned back, stunned by the revelation of humanity's overwhelming victory. So what happened after the Norcadian fleet retreated? Did Admiral Zakhtar attempt to retaliate or negotiate a peace treaty with the humans? Xander shook his head solemnly. No, Zor-El. The Norcadian Empire was thrown into complete disarray by the news of our fleet's humiliating defeat. The Emperor himself was forced to abdicate, and a new government took power, one that was far more cautious and willing to engage in diplomacy with other species. That's a remarkable shift in policy, Zor-El said, her eyes wide with disbelief. The Norcadians have always been known for their aggressive expansionism and unwillingness to compromise. Indeed, Xander agreed. But the humans had made it clear that any future incursions into their territory would be met with swift and overwhelming force. Admiral Ramos's final warning left no room for misinterpretation. Zor-El nodded thoughtfully. And what of the humans themselves? Did they simply return to their own space, content with their victory? Far from it, Xander replied, a hint of admiration in his voice. The humans, emboldened by their success, began to expand their influence throughout the galaxy. They forged alliances with other species who had long suffered under Norcadian rule, sharing their advanced technology and helping them modernize their own fleets and defenses. They created a coalition, Zor-El whispered, realization dawning on her face. Exactly, Xander confirmed. A powerful coalition that the Norcadians could not hope to challenge. The humans had not only secured their own safety, but had also become a beacon of hope for countless other civilizations seeking to break free from Norcadian oppression. Zor-El shook her head in amazement. To think that a species we once considered primitive could have risen to such heights in such a short time. It's almost unbelievable. It is a testament to their resilience, ingenuity, and unwavering determination, Xander said, his voice filled with a newfound respect for the human race. They have shown us that even the most unlikely of species can rise to greatness when pushed to their limits. Zor-El fell silent for a moment, contemplating the implications of humanity's ascent. This changes everything, Xander. The balance of power in the galaxy has shifted, and the Norcadians must adapt if we hope to survive in this new era. As Xander concluded his tale, Zor-El sat back in his seat, his eyes wide with astonishment. It's almost unbelievable, he said, shaking his head. The Norcadians, so fixated on subjugating weaker civilizations, completely overlooked the rise of a species capable of challenging our dominance. The irony is staggering. Xander nodded, a flicker of sadness in his eyes. The Empire has never fully recovered from the humiliation of our defeat at the hands of the humans. Many of our people harbor deep resentment towards them and their allies, viewing them as upstarts who have disrupted the natural order of the galaxy. Zor-El leaned forward, his brow furrowed with concern. "What do you mean?" Xander sighed, his voice lowering to a conspiratorial whisper. "There are rumors, Zor-El, of a growing movement within the Empire, a faction that seeks to restore our former glory and exact revenge upon the humans. They believe that only through force can we reclaim our rightful place as the dominant power in the galaxy." Zor-El's eyes widened in alarm. But if this faction gains control, it could lead to a devastating war, one that would engulf the entire galaxy in chaos and destruction. Xander nodded gravely. Indeed, the consequences would be catastrophic, not just for the humans and their allies, but for the Norcadians as well. We cannot afford another conflict on such a scale. "What can be done to prevent this?" Zor-El asked, his voice tinged with desperation. Xander leaned back in his chair, his gaze distant. "The only hope is for the Norcadians to embrace change, to learn from our past mistakes, and adapt to the new reality of the galaxy. We must recognize that we are no longer the sole dominant power, and find a way to coexist peacefully with the humans and their allies." Zor-El nodded slowly, the weight of Xander's words sinking in. "It won't be easy. There are those who will resist such a shift in our society, who will cling to the old ways and the dreams of conquest." "True," Xander agreed, "but we must try. The alternative is too dire to contemplate." As their conversation drew to a close, Xander and Zor-El turned their gazes to the stars, visible through the observation deck's expansive windows. Each lost in thought, they contemplated the uncertain future that lay ahead, a future shaped by the revelation of humanity's secret fleet and the far-reaching consequences it would have for the entire galaxy. The struggle for power and dominance was far from over, and the path forward was fraught with challenges and dangers. The Norcadians stood at a crossroads, faced with a choice that would determine not only their own fate, but the fate of countless civilizations across the stars. You have reached the end of the story. If you enjoyed this story and want to support us, please leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and for every comment that says 88, I will heart every single one of them. Thank you for your time.